Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Episode 115 or 116. I mean, who's counting anymore? I don't know. Why do we even still do that? They're clearly going to see what episode is when they click to hit play.
Hey guys, Harry Doyle here.
Friends of the Feather.
Friends of the Feather
Sons
here.
of Geronimo.
In search of the... he says, like, they take their TPs in search of a...
New reservation or something.
I don't know. That's a Major League reference, everybody. Welcome to the program. Bet you weren't expecting that when you clicked onto this.
Yeah. Well... You know, somebody said something about podcasts and how they're all terrible. Like, all podcasts are terrible, and they all have their moments of just pure insanity. And this is that case. This is just stupid. Like, what are we talking about? Major League? Why we count episodes?
No. Look, okay, so you count episodes, so that way the listener is like, wow, I've listened to 115 episodes of this crap,
of this raving nonsense.
And then the Major League reference is like, have you ever had that feeling? Maybe this is just me. You've had that feeling where you go into a movie and the movie starts and it's not what you conceptualize the movie actually starting out as, and you're like, wait, is this the right movie?
I guess.
So if you ever go to a movie and the movie starts off and it's not like, okay, if you go and see like a Marvel film and it starts off not like any other Marvel film, you're like, wait, is this the right movie?
Oh, so like if you go to see James Bond and it starts off as some animated musical number.
Yeah, and you're like, wait, what is this?
This isn't what...
That's the Major League reference.
Yeah,
you're
expecting to see James Bond and then Big Bird comes out. Like, what?
Exactly.
What is this? This isn't right. By the way, if you haven't seen No Time to Die, fantastic film.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
A brilliant film. I really, really enjoyed it. We're not gonna spoil it if you haven't seen it already, but great story. The acting was brilliant. The story was awesome. I love the characters. I love Daniel Craig as Bond. I think he's been one of probably the top 3, I think, all time.
I'd say the second best of all time.
So he goes like Connery, and then maybe Roger Moore.
I think he's better than Roger Moore.
You think so?
I think he was better than Roger Moore.
Even though Roger Moore made what 7 or 8 movies?
I think he has the most films under his belt, yeah.
He has almost 9 movies,
But if you look at it this way, okay, so if you were to ask someone who the most memorable ones are,
it's got to be Sean Connery.
Well, no. Most memorable films.
Oh,
the most memorable films. Goldfinger's the best one. Like, without a doubt, Goldfinger's the best one.
Goldfinger.
Can anybody really name the ones that Roger Moore did? If you asked, like, I don't know, I wouldn't say normies, but people who do watch, like, I can't name a lot of the Roger Moore films.
I can think of about 3.
But I'm saying those, and you think about the big ones.
Yeah.
Like, the big Bond films, it's Goldfinger,
Dr. No,
GoldenEye with Pierce Brosnan, Skyfall, Casino Royale. Those are the big ones.
Right.
That everybody knows. If you're like, hey, let's go watch a Bond film, like, okay, we're watching Goldfinger. Like that's the one that everyone compares to is Goldfinger because it's the best one. No, I really enjoyed it too.
I watched one with I think Timothy Dalton did one it's in Her Majesty's Service. I can't remember the
No, that's the one that
it's not Timothy Dalton.
It's the there's a guy that only did one film and it was so bad.
But it wasn't the guy who only did one film. It was a different one, and it was a lesser known Bond. And I thought this actually wasn't that bad. It was early 70s. It wasn't like good like a Connery or Pierce or a Craig film was, but it was okay.
Well, Pierce Brosnan had GoldenEye, and that was about it. Let's just be honest. The rest of the
Tomorrow Never Dies wasn't terrible.
It wasn't good.
Now,
all the Daniel Craig films, like, okay, Quantum of Solace was okay, but I think Quantum of Solace is better than Tomorrow Never Dies.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
But no, seriously, I really did enjoy the film. I knew this was going to be Daniel Craig's last film. He's already said, so I kind of had that going into it. They were going to kind of try to tie things up nicely, and I think they did a good job.
Yeah. If you think about it, though, the villains that Bond faced in the Craig era films, I think, were better. Like, you had not Hans Landa, but you had Christopher Waltz, who was one of the villains.
Waltz. Yeah, he was. Anything that he does.
Yeah, and I think those were just better villains because they were just, I don't know.
Lashif and then the guy from Skyfall were both fantastic
villains. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, Dominic Green from Quantum of Solace was kind of weak, but I mean, whatever.
Was that the guy that had the slick back hair?
No, that was Lashif. So Lashif's in
was
Casino. He's in Casino Royale.
Yeah,
he did all those great scenes and when they played the no limits high stakes poker game, but anything that Christoph Waltz is in is
fantastic.
He's one of the most overlooked actors. And whenever I'm asked about favorite actor, I'm like, it's Christoph Waltz. Like, he's the best. Simply.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like you see the series is about to do a whole new reboot because Q, what's her name?
Moneypenny.
No, not Moneypenny. Judi Dench. She's out now.
Well, she left in Skyfall.
Right, but because they're starting to do a whole new relaunch.
Well, yeah.
So Judi Dench is out. The original Q, he's been out for a while.
now, yeah.
Moneypenny, she's been out for a while. So and there's a new Bond, so it's a whole new relaunch. And so I'm hoping with the new relaunch they don't go woke, because if you pay attention to the story of what he does at the end of the movie, it's a very counterculture nowadays as to what men are supposed to do, right? He sacrifices himself to save the world. If you whatever, spoil the movie, right? You don't see that in many other movies or TV shows now. So are they going to shift and do something different?
I don't think anybody would actually watch it.
Yeah.
I think James Bond, the character, is the last remnant of the old chauvinistic character type.
Not chauvinistic, but masculine.
Okay, there we go. Sorry. Rugged masculinity. He's the last one. And then he's not the same character as the Sean Connery or the Roger Moore, where they were the more womanizer types. They have that strayed away from that character element, but they're not going to be able to do a woke Bond. No one's going to watch it. It's going to be completely counter to the entire character. Yes, you can have a more updated Daniel Craig version. It still stay true to the character. I don't think there's anything wrong if you were to go back and look at the Ian Fleming novels. I don't think there's anything contradicting. Yeah. Just from my knowledge of them,
maybe
that would take the character in the wrong direction. But you're not going to have a woke Bond. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's completely antithetical to the entire movement of wokeism.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
I thought how the bad guy and how the thing that he was trying to stop kind of mirrors what's actually happening in reality now with COVID and where COVID came from. I don't know if you caught that or not.
No, that's one theory on why the film got delayed.
You think so?
Yeah, that's a theory going around, that because the weapon is a type of virus that's transmitted, think about it. This is supposed to come out April 20, whatever that weekend, or that last weekend in April is supposed to be the film's supposed to be released, and that was the height of all the lockdowns and everything. So there was no way they were going to release a film about a virus.
But the way the virus worked was completely different from COVID. It wasn't even similar. But the way how it came out was very similar.
But you still had a transmissible...
Yeah, I know. But the whole thing was completely engineered to attack certain individuals, not just the public at mass. But anyway, enough about James Bond. We spent 10 minutes on James Bond.
James Bond.
No, I loved the movie. I thought it was fantastic. I thought, there wasn't as much focus on Bond's gadgets or the cars or anything like that as in past movies, because it was more about of the story of wrapping up of his reign as Bond, more than anything, all that kind of stuff, which I thought was
I feel, I'm not going to spoil the way they ended it, but I feel that the way they ended the film was so radically different because they've never ended a film like that. They never treated a character like that in their last film. And I think it's a testament to how beloved this character really was. And I think he was the most beloved Bond since Connery, or maybe since Moore, because there was really no other person besides Connery. Whenever the film series sort of came out, it was just Connery, and then Roger Moore came slowly after, and he was also beloved. I think this is the most, like I said on Twitter when I went and saw this film, I think that his 5 films, 20 years from now, as long as we're not
Will we look at the same way
as
as a
long,
Connery film?
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think they'll hold up. I think that, don't get me wrong, Connery made some stinkers as well. I mean, Octopussy is not a good film. Okay?
That wasn't.
That's not a good film.
That wasn't Sean Connery though, was it? That
Yeah,
was,
it was.
That was Roger Moore.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty
Hold on.
sure.
I'm
pretty sure, Jacob. I'm not an expert on James Bond, but I do know.
Stall. It's loading.
I do know a few things about this. I'm pretty sure that's Roger Moore. I'm like, I'll put an ounce of silver on it before you find it.
Okay, maybe you are right.
You want to put an ounce?
No,
of silver?
I'm not
Okay.
putting an ounce of silver on this. Hold on. No, diamonds are
telling
okay.
you.
No, he didn't do it. Diamonds are forever.
Doctor
No.
No.
Okay,
You only
this-
live twice.
Okay, I don't trust this list because it has Goldfinger at number 4, so we're not going.
Thunderball wasn't bad either.
Yeah,
Um,
but what I'm saying though is that even Connery had some stinkers. So I do think that, given the age, I mean, obviously these films are over 50 years old, but 15, 20 years from now, as long as we have not completely sanitized all of those type of films and that type of character, they'll be looked at with the same kind of remembrance and like nostalgia as the Connery. And I'm not saying they'll be the same, but they'll have that same like, oh, that was you went and saw Skyfall? It's a great film, dude.
Yeah. Or you have it on DVD. Let's watch it. Or Blu-ray.
Who has DVD anymore?
I know. Whenever I think of DVD or I think of Blu-rays, I always just go to DVD because.
Well, it's like saying go Google it or go YouTube it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or why don't you Skype me? But they don't actually Skype.
Well, okay, so I think it's pretty well known that he dies at the end of the movie. I think we all know that, right? And somebody we went and saw the movie with was like, well, did they really have to kill him? I said, what is he going to do? Go to the villages to live out the rest of his life? I don't think that's going to happen.
James Bond 7, The Villages Edition.
Yeah. He's playing golf in South Florida in the villages.
Yeah, that's
getting
not
fat and sitting in the pool in the afternoon.
Nobody wants to watch that.
Nobody wants to see that. I certainly don't. Anyway,
enough about
James Bond.
Enough about James Bond. Well, as we said last episode, that we were going to have some recap of the weekend, and those of you who followed my Twitter and follow me on social media, I posted some photos and some things about it.
I didn't.
Kind of, well, yes, we know you don't have social media because you're not cool with the times, Joe.
Yeah, I know.
You're not cool. But no, for those who didn't listen to the podcast, we're probably gonna title this like Tom Woods 2000 recap or whatever, because this is what the main show is gonna be about. We went to Orlando for Tom Woods' 2000th episode, which was he had a giant deal about it. And those of you who are like, who's Tom Woods, would stop, click pause, and go over to the Tom Woods show and start listening. Because at this point, I don't think if you're not listening to that podcast, you really should, because if you want to actually learn something and
You
not
want
just
actual information.
Well, I will say though, Tom's not going to do any Major League references. So if you like those, leave a comment.
You might get a Simpsons reference,
If
but
you
not a
like,
Major League.
If you like the Major League references, leave a comment saying, "Hey Jacob, do more," and I'll work them in.
we will oblige you.
I'll oblige those. But no, we had a fantastic weekend and relaxing, and Florida is a wonderful place to go visit. The weather was pretty. I mean,
It's okay.
for considering on what for what October can be in Florida,
That's
where
true.
it can be. Look, Florida is so weird how it can be hotter than Hades during the day, and then once the sun goes down, get a little chilly. Mainly because you're wearing shorts, and then once the sun goes down, it hits below 60 or something, and you're like, well, this is a little cold. Maybe not for you, but
I'm always hot, so it doesn't matter.
so us cold-blooded freaks out here, we get a little
reptiles.
cold. Yeah, get a little cold. But no, what was your?
Well,
did you have a good time?
The hotel that we stayed at was fabulous.
Yeah, it was very nice.
I don't think I'd ever stayed at a hotel that nice in a long time.
Maybe since Vegas.
Yeah, probably since Vegas. Although the hotel we stayed at Vegas, I don't think was anywhere near as nice as this one we stayed at. We got a pretty awesome deal.
Had a
on
view
that.
and everything.
Yeah, which was funny because the start of our trip was kind of a downer because
No pun intended.
yeah, it kind of flatlined. because we get about I say about maybe 10 or 15 minutes down the road, and we took my car, so because we always go in Jacob's car, but I got a new car. And we thought, okay, we'll go in my car. So
just keep the miles, because I've gone to Florida in that car so many times.
Right,
so.
and my car has not even a third of the miles that you do. And so we get in my car, and we're got about 10 or 15 minutes down the road, and I noticed that my car keeps pulling to the left. And I thought, okay, well, maybe it's the road, so I changed lanes, still pulling to the left. And then I noticed that the the air pressure in my tire light came on, and I clicked over to it, and it said that my driver's side tire was at 7 psi. Which is... Lo and behold, we get off the interstate, and it's flat. So we tried to change the tire, but the Yoder, whoever reinstalled, who put the tires on before, didn't use a torque wrench, and it was literally impossible to get them to move. So
they used freaking NASCAR little.
Yeah,
like the impact wrenches.
So we just filled up as much as we can. We finally get home. We switch cars. We get down there about an hour later than we wanted to, but it doesn't matter because it's a nice hotel. It's Florida, right? We get to the hotel. We unpack. We go to eat at the Edison at Disney Springs, which is a muy fantastico place down there in Florida.
Yeah, I mean that's the reason why we left early is because I was like, well, we'll have 3 hours headway, so that way we're not having to feel like we're racing down.
Yeah, it was great. We sat, we ate, we were merry. I went over to the. You did your shopping thing because you like to do the shopping, and
it's Disney Springs. I got to see what they have.
Yeah.
I was not impressed by what they had for the 50th anniversary for Disney.
Because it was all picked clean.
No. It was all full. Like just whatever. So they're doing multiple collections as throughout the 50th anniversary. They're doing like a thing every quarter or whatever of just new merchandise.
But who would want that? Why would you say, "Oh, I got the 50th anniversary"? It came out, I don't know, 50 days later.
Well, they're doing a whole year-long celebration.
But wouldn't you want the actual day of? Not this was day 67.
No. It's not that. So they're doing like an anniversary stuff to celebrate. So whenever Disney does a milestone anniversary, whether it's the 50th, 60th, whatever, they have an entire year-long celebration. It's usually where they introduce new rides, new attractions, new restaurants, and then they usually have merch to signify the event.
Right, because you've already spent a crap ton of money just to get in here. Now you're spending even more money.
Well, of course,
on your 50th anniversary. They ran out of ideas by the time they got to the end of the month. So it's basically just the Cinderella's castle with a cake on it that just has slapped duct tape to it 50th anniversary on the T-shirt.
Well, duh. I mean, that's
people would buy that crap too.
Probably.
Yeah, Cinderella's castle as a cake.
But I was not really that impressed with everything, which I knew, like, I have so much Disney stuff as it is, so if I don't love it, I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah, but see, here's the difference, though, is that for someone like you who follows this stuff, who's into this stuff, it's a lot harder, I think, to impress someone like you than someone like me who doesn't really care one way or the other what the T-shirt looks like. I'm not going to wear the T-shirt unless I'm here anyway. And so for me, it really doesn't, it's not that big of a deal for me. But for someone like you, it's completely different.
Well, like as I said, if I don't love it, I'm not going to buy it.
Right.
That's just, I'm already justifying the cost of it, and I know it's going to be money. Plus, I don't have my annual pass right now, so I'm not going to get that discount. So
but the schmucks coming from Madagascar who've never been to Disney before, I mean, they see the duct tape 50th anniversary Cinderella Castle cake T-shirt, and they think, oh, I'm probably only going to be here once, so let me get the crappy T-shirt.
Is the image duct taped to the T-shirt?
No. It's so originally you told me this that for the 25th anniversary they did the castle that made it look like a cake.
Yeah,
right, for the 25th anniversary.
It was horrid.
Because nobody bought those T-shirts, they just took a piece of duct tape and put 50th over the 25th, and they say, yeah, people will buy this crap.
What was who does that? There's some people out there who do that for like birthday cards. Well, they'll like cross out.
Oh, that is beyond cheap.
I kind of love it though. Like they'll buy a generic card and they'll say happy birthday.
Then they ask for it back.
Or they re-gift it, or like they take cards and they just cross a happy birthday. So if it's a graduation, happy graduation, and then they'll get cross out there and even write your name in.
That is beyond cheap.
I kind of like that though.
How much are cards? What, like a couple dollars?
No, it's tacky. And here's the thing, right? Okay, whenever whenever not me, but I'm saying most people when they get a card, they're like, they throw it away, right?
I
Typically, I'm not saying us. I'm saying some people do that. Some people look at a card and say, oh, well, that was thoughtful. I'm throwing this away. That's how some people are. But if you take a regift card, cross out what it was for, and then cross out your name, and then write their name and what this card is supposed to be for now, that's funny. That'll get a laugh out of somebody.
I wouldn't laugh. I'd say you're incredibly cheap, and I'd throw it back at you.
But you're incredibly cheap, so you'd find that hilarious.
But I'm not that cheap.
But you would still look if someone were to get you.
No. Hang on.
So you're about to graduate.
Hang on. You have besmirched me.
No,
you have besmirched me. If anyone in this room is cheap, it is you, Mister.
I know, but listen.
You got the Jewish side of the family, not me.
Listen. Okay, just hush. Listen. You cannot tell me that. Okay, you're about to graduate college, right?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot tell me that if on your graduation party or whenever someone gives you a graduation card, that if there is happy birthday crossed out, happy anniversary crossed out, happy wedding day crossed out, happy birthday crossed out, and then it says happy graduation, Joe, you would not be like, that's pretty good.
No, it's like, what schmuck gave me this? I'd say, what the blankety blank
No,
I'd tear it up and I'd throw it out.
No, you would not. You would
I
laugh.
said, this person doesn't care enough to give me a card that hasn't been defiled by other significant scenarios. That's not mine.
I'm telling you, I know you too well. You would find that funny. No, listen. Okay, you would say everything you're saying right now, but then you would find the humor in it, and you would laugh. I'm telling you.
No,
that's what would happen.
That would not go on the mantle.
It would.
Not that I have a mantle.
The mantle. Isn't that is that from a movie or something?
I think that's a.
Anyways, Florida. So you know that. All right. So remember that thing. Remember that Florida thing. That's the title of this thing in the 2000 Tom Woods episode.
Anyway, so we get to the hotel. We're having a grand old time, right? So that's Friday night. So Friday night we hang out at Disney Springs. We have a grand old time. Jacob does his shopping thing. I go to the Sosa Family Cigar Lounge. Shout out to the Sosa family. They make great stuff. So Saturday rolls around. We go play Top Golf, and I hit the back net with a 3-wood, and Jacob can barely get it halfway down the driving range with a 5-iron.
No, I had some good hits, dude. Shut up.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, I can't drive the ball, but I get a 5.
I cannot hit a driver either.
So I can't drive, but I got a bunch. So the one game we played. So we're just a bunch of normals when it comes to Top Golf. So we just play the one game where it just counts like
points.
There's some games where it makes you like pick the targets.
Yeah,
Look,
no.
I'm barely just good enough to get it into any target, let alone pick a target. But with that one game that I played just with the 5 and 7 iron, killed you.
Well, I wasn't going for points.
I know. I'm saying though is that when I would just I honed in a stroke. And I honed into where I want to hit the ball every time, and I basically did.
See,
I had like 100-something points that one game.
What I like to do is I like to hit the sand wedge and see how high I can get it to go.
Ball just goes above the...
Yeah, so the ball goes like... We were on the second deck, so the ball goes over the third deck like 75 feet in the air and straight down. It only goes forward like, 50 yards or something.
Did you see... I was going to hit, and then I saw... I look over. I'm looking down and get ready to line my shot up, and I see a club fly out from below me.
I've never had that happen.
How
before.
do you do? Okay, I'm afraid that the day we went, it was kind of warm. It was a little hot, so your hands get sweaty, and you're eating, greasy hamburgers and French fries. So it's not exactly the best, most grippy material. And I was afraid a few times I was going to let the club go. It was going to fly like a Wii Sports style.
I think what happens is that when people think they have to grip so much harder than they should.
Yeah.
And then when they actually, release the club, then they're like, oh, I can let go of it now.
I can let go of the club now, yeah.
Because I've played in the rain, actually playing golf in the rain, and I've never had that happen to me.
No, I didn't have that happen whenever I had greasy hands and sweaty, and there's only sometimes you can dry your hands on your jeans. But I never had, I just see a club just fly out probably 15 yards? Just
those types of people should not be playing.
And I'm like, well, and it was a driver too. I was like, oh my, how hard was that person swinging that club?
Yeah, they think, yeah. Anyway, so we do that, and then we go back to the hotel, and we get ready for the event. And so we go to the reception for the event, and I was a little shocked at how many people were there. So the reception hall, how big was it? It was...
So I'm going to try to put this into terms of, so from what I understand, and from the venues I've been, those kind of ballrooms are pretty standard.
Okay.
Like they're kind of like that just giant empty room. I mean, this was the size of
like a football field.
I don't know, it was quite. I mean, maybe the main reception hall, but there had to be 600 people, 700 people in this reception.
Easily.
I mean, it was wall to wall. We had a little corner that we stood in and kind of saw some people, talk to some people when we were there. So no one recognized us because we're nobody. We're nobody. But I recognized a bunch of people there and had the opportunity to, say a few words to them and just talk to them. But there was so many people in there. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. There was for those you have to. It's hard to describe these kind of events and these kind of people because it truly is a big melting pot of different backgrounds and different upbringings.
Yeah.
It really is. You see everyone who's wearing a clean-cut, tailored suit. People in there wearing Hawaiian shirts and cargo shorts. Seriously.
Yeah.
That really is the whole demographic, and you can tell who's wealthy and you can tell who's not wealthy. You can tell who drove 15 hours in a little beat-up car and those who flew first class. It really is an entire demographic of a whole spectrum of people that were there. And it was awesome because I think there's something unique to Tom's message and the overall liberty message that I think really resonates with all types of different people.
Yeah, there are definitely some weirdos.
Well, yeah, because
there was a lady there that had a Flat Earther T-shirt on, which I thought you two would get along great.
I thought about talking to her. I thought about talking about Flat Earth, but I didn't know if she was being
Explaining
facetious.
the eclipse.
Explain a lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
Whenever the Earth and the moon gets behind, or the Earth gets in between the sun and the moon. Explain that one.
Yeah.
How does that work?
But anyway, so we do the reception, and Tom speaks for maybe a minute and a half, just thanking everybody for coming. I lost my train of thought.
Tom spoke and just said,
Yeah.
"Thank you guys for coming here." And he said he was kind of overwhelmed, honestly, by all the people that were there.
I still can't get over how many people were there. And then we mosey on down through the doors and go through another set of doors into the main ballroom,
which is huge.
And there's probably 2,000 chairs in there at least.
So whenever we walked by the first set of doors because we were just kind of wandering and didn't have a lot to do, and I looked in and I saw only half of it. I saw only half, and I thought that was all it was going to be. And I was like, "Damn, that's a lot of chairs." You know how there's like
Watch your
three?
mouth.
No, I said man.
Okay.
I didn't cuss. I don't swear on this show. This is a family show, Joe. You know how there was 3 blocks, and there was there were 6 blocks of chairs, and then there was 3 rows across. Well, I only saw the first set of chairs. I thought that was it.
Yeah.
And then I walked in there, and they just kept going and going, and the chairs just kept going and going. We got pretty decent seats. I think I posted a photo of. I posted one photo up on Twitter of everybody, of the kind of the feel. But we were right in the middle.
Yes.
We were right in the middle, probably 20 rows back. And let me tell you what, that was the longest, most. I haven't laughed that hard. I haven't done so many standing ovations in so long. I have my hands
hurt.
Were like hurting. I stopped clapping at one point because I was like, whenever they'd bring somebody up, I was like, I gotta stand and clap now. Not that I was like mad about it or anything, but you do that 15 times because you're just so excited to see everybody there.
Okay, so my hands started to hurt as soon as Jeff Dice was done introducing everyone. So the host of the show was Jeff Dice, who is our president of the Mises Institute.
Our president.
He's a funny guy. But he has a very dry kind of sense of humor. He kind of comes off as a very intellectual kind of humor. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody.
No, it does. He's a very intelligent man.
Yes.
So that's
well. I mean, if you're in charge of an institute that's based around economics, I mean, you kind of have to be a little nerdy, I guess. But he gets up there and he starts just roasting everyone. He roasted Tom. He roasted Scott. He roasted Michael.
Michael
Eric
Malise.
July, yeah,
Michael Malise.
Michael Malise,
Malise.
yeah.
The great outdoorsman.
the great outdoorsman, the hunter and the fisher,
The hunter and gatherer.
yeah, from Brooklyn. But yeah, it was hilarious. He was hilarious, and by the time he was done, I was tired of laughing, and my hands were hurting.
And we haven't got to the first guest yet.
And Tom hasn't even come on stage yet.
Yeah, Tom didn't come on stage yet, and Tom came out and said his thing, and that was awesome. Just, I mean, you could honestly tell that he was really, really blown away
aback
with the support, because there was not. I mean, I saw pictures, and there were people that were getting up and going around pretty much the entire evening, but the place was packed. I think he said 2,500 people. I've been to concerts
with less people.
Like, I don't even think, can the Tabernacle even hold 2,500 people?
Maybe.
I don't think the Tabernacle
with all the balconies open.
Maybe 2,500 people. Maybe that many people. But look, I'm still to this day just blown away, and I'll get into my thoughts when we finish kind of talking about the events of the evening. But that was just shock and just blown away. Was it? The Tom came out and said his words, and then the first Tom had some surprise guests, and the first one was fresh off his murder in murder of New York City. Whenever he demolished that
Crystal
warmongering, bloodthirsty Bill Crystal, Scott Horton came out, and
that took me by surprise.
Everybody stood up and started cheering and clapping, because we have there's a few people in the little weird movement that we're in that are like rock stars, that are like, yeah. And whenever you hear some guy's name, you're
so
like,
punk rock, man.
So punk rock. Like, that's how guys like, Eric July and Michael Malus, and you're like, yeah, Michael Malus. And Scott Horton is definitely like in that pantheon of people. Whenever you hear him, you're like, yeah, Scott. Like, you got to go against Scott Horton in the debate. When's the funeral, buddy boy? Because you're not gonna win this one.
Well, see, I was debating on whether or not, because I have 2 of his books that he's written. I was debating on not if I should bring them with us, and I thought, oh, okay, you never know. It's Tom, so you never know who's gonna show up. So they were sitting in the car, and when he came out, I was like, Jacob, give me the keys. I'm going to the car at intermission to get him signed. But that was really cool.
Yeah, you had 10 minutes because they ran very over time.
Yeah.
But you had 10 minutes of the intermission to go run out to your car and get back before the next little bit started. And I didn't dare move because you weren't going to get your seats back if you moved.
Yeah.
They had us packed in there pretty good. Not to Tom's fault, or I think that's just the venue.
Hotel.
The hotel just got to get a lot of people in that ballroom.
Yeah. So Scott spoke for a while. He kind of roasted everybody, and he was very much, he was given a hero's welcome and a hero's thank you for that debate. And then we got to talk to him after the whole deal, and he's exactly what I had thought he would be, because he's like this punk rock skater dude from Austin, Texas, and he looked just like it. He dressed just like it. And he sounded just like it.
Walked out there in a hoodie and jeans.
Yeah, with the wallet chain thing.
I mean, everyone besides Eric July, which Eric July is not gonna dress up like he wore a basketball jersey, because like that's just Eric July.
We needed a Michael Bolton. He was wearing a t-shirt.
Michael Bolton. Okay, you're right. Michael Bolton just wore a t-shirt, but that's exactly what I thought he was gonna wear too.
Yeah,
it just
because that's who
jeans,
he is.
Chain wallet, and a hoodie
in Vans.
Yeah, so that's. But he was awesome. You get to talk to him for a little bit there at the end. Did you say anything really big to him whenever you got the book signed? Because I didn't talk to you about that.
I watched your debate and I thought it was awesome, and thanks for stomping on his throat. And he was like, thanks, man. But but people like him are just they're not a nobody, but to the rest of the world they kind of are a nobody. Like nobody. I mean, if you were to go on MSNBC and say so and so, whatever, like who? But in our little circle, they are kind of like like the Gene Simmons,
like the rock star, like the rock star, like what I said.
Yeah, he's like the Gene Simmons of foreign policy. And but yeah, I talked to him for a little bit. I asked him about Waco and some other stuff because he's done a lot of work on that too. But then Doc Dixon, who fooled Penn and Teller, his magical magicianal things were so good that he fooled Penn and Teller, and Penn and Teller, I guess, are like really good magical magicians.
I mean, they're the standard, right? I mean, they're basically kind of the standards for that.
Yeah, and so he did some magic, and that was pretty cool.
I thought he did awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. He's also funny too, because he's like a comedian slash magical magician.
Yeah, he's hilarious. I think that's
all the jokes landed.
I think that's what made him really more effective than just seeing a normal normal illusion, is the fact that he's able to kind of
because that's what separates him from the guy from Harry Potter, Magical Me guy, and then just regular, whatever. Because he's actually funny.
Bring up that kind of sorcery on this podcast.
Shut up! This is not.
We don't worship Satan on this podcast.
Oh, shut up!
So the Doc Dixon spoke, and then, I'm trying to think what happened. I'm trying to go in chronological order, but I'm not sure. I think we're off. Michael Bolton came up and spoke. Those of you know who Michael Bolton is, the
20th Amendment Center.
20th Amendment. I wanted to tweet them at him, but I wanted to when I did my little bio thing on because I made a pretty big post afterwards, all the photos of me meeting everybody, and I wanted to write Michael Bolton, the 20th Amendment Center, but if you ever saw that, I think if he's anything anything like Malus, he'd block me instantly. Yeah. So
you know what's funny though is that when I go to these things, and because I just know faces, I'm like, Jacob, you know who that is? Like, you know who that is? You see that guy? He spoke to this guy. He spoke at this conference, whatever. And you were like, I just know 2 or 3 people here.
Well, I knew other people. Like, I knew folks from Twitter. That's where I kind of network with people. Is on Twitter.
I don't know that.
So guys like a Reed Coverdale, I had a chance to talk.
Yeah, I knew who that
was. To talk to him for a second.
Yeah.
Super cool guy. I want to talk to him more, but he was busy with other people. I didn't look. I as somebody who's very reserved and very, I'm not saying antisocial, but more of an introvert, I know people's time and people's space. So typically when I meet somebody, I say what I'm going to say. I thank them for whatever that they've done, and I give them their time and their space, because I know how I would feel if somebody were to just chat my ear off and I have no idea this person is, not like out of disrespect.
Like the guy who was in front of us when you and I got the picture of Scott, he read a speech to him. To me, that is incredibly weird.
Yeah, to me that's weird.
That's so strange.
I've always said that if I ever meet like the biggest, like I've always said if I were to meet Geddy Lee or John Petrucci, or like somebody, or like Stephen Curtis Chapman, like a big music influence in my life, if I were to meet someone like that, I would say my words, understand there's people waiting behind me, and then this individual has to meet a lot of people and has to not act excited, but has to be excited for every single person.
This is a photo up, not a conversation.
Exactly. So I say what I want to say, shake their hand,
fist bump,
his or her hand, fist bump, whatever. And I give them back their time, because I'm on their time, on their borrowed time. That's just how I personally am. Now, if you want to have like a full conversation with someone and it's appropriate, go for it. I'm not saying you don't have to do that. But in the context of like this weekend, I'm very conscientious about people's time and understanding that, like I'll talk about later. But when I met Michael Malus, I said my piece. I said thank you and everything about him. Because Malus is, for me, like, he's my Liberty hero. So I said what I wanted to say, shook his hand, got a picture, and I left him alone. Because
this is why I will never do like meet and greets for bands and stuff. Not because you don't want to meet your hero or anything, but to me, those situations are so incredibly awkward because nobody really wants to be here, right? The band doesn't want to be here, but this is something they do
always.
To make extra money. It's something that they do.
Not always. Some bands really want to meet people.
I've been in these situations where bands do meet and greets. I'm like, this is just friggin' weird.
And that's coming from our point of view, as we're more introverted people who are very reserved.
Because what happens is the lady that was in front of you when you got your book signed by Malus, she was so worked up she couldn't breathe, and Michael was like, "Are you going to be okay?
Are you going to be okay?
Shh, breathe, calm down."
Breathe.
To
are
me,
you okay now?
That is so incredibly weird.
Yeah.
Like, even if Neil Peart hadn't done, and he were to walk in this room, or Phil Mickelson were to walk in this room, I wouldn't come unglued. I wouldn't be hyperventilating. I'd be like, "Oh, hey, look, it's so and so."
First of all, how'd you get in my house?
Yeah, how do you know where I live?
We'll get all that out of the way, and then I'll tell you how much you've meant to me in my life.
Free golf clubs. How about it?
So we had opportunity to meet them, and crap, where was I at? I was talking about some of the surprise guests that were there. Bolton was one of them. Not Bolton.
Scott.
Scott Horton was one of them, and
there's that guy who did that movie.
about the housing crisis.
Yeah.
I think his name is Jimmy Morrison,
like that.
something like
I
that.
thought that was just
I follow him on Twitter, so I think I follow him on Twitter. So if you go through my follows, you can find him. It was Jimmy something. I forget his name.
Yeah.
But he was there. He's doing a new film that'll probably be really cool as well. I need to check out his one on the housing crisis. But I think the one guest that you can chime in at this. The one guest that was the most that expelled the most emotion from me. And caught me the most off guard was that of Lynn Ulbrich. Now, if you don't know who she is, she's the mother of Ross Ulbrich, who is, if you don't know who Ross is currently serving double life sentences with
plus 40
something years for his role in the creation of the Silk Road. Those who don't know who the Silk Road is, I can explain it briefly. It was basically just a marketplace that you could buy and sell anything that wasn't damaging to a third party. So there was no like cheese pizza, there was no CP on there, and there wasn't
no stolen property,
stuff like that.
You couldn't fraud people.
Yeah, so it had to be a legitimate transaction, but it was between two anonymous parties, and as long as both parties weren't harmed and as a third party wasn't harmed, you could basically do whatever you wanted. And you traded in Bitcoin, so it was very, very tough to
you couldn't track it or trace anything.
Track this down, and it was all decentralized with Bitcoin. Well, people took advantage of this and started selling drugs, and of course, you
can't have that.
Can't be having people buying dope on the internet. So he got this thing shut down, completely nonviolent, completely nonviolent criminal. He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't kill anybody, and he's serving a sentence that's way longer than like a child predator or even a murderer would have gotten in most circumstances. So she spoke. It opened up with, and if you have not heard this interview, I really encourage you first do research on him, and then he did an interview for the Bitcoin conference in 2020 where he spoke from prison. It's like a 30-minute phone call, and it's chilling. It really is chilling because he opens up with, I've lost my freedoms. I built this platform for freedom and for liberty in a way to give a big middle finger to the state, basically, and here I am paying the consequences for it. And she came out and kind of rallied everybody and kind of gave a little bit of an update because he's not allowed to really to speak out much. Not much information about him gets out of the prison. So, of course, she has access.
That's due to his lawyers and stuff because they don't want to.
Well, that and just because it's a maximum security prison.
Right.
They don't allow them to just, speak out all the time. So she obviously gets more access because, the relationship and all that. But she kind of gave us reassured that he's okay. He's staying in there, mentally and physically. He's okay, and that she really just wants us to just keep fighting and just keep having people sign up for the petition. And
it's like 500,000 signatures.
Yeah, it's got 500,000 right now.
Yeah.
I checked it the other day. I had to make sure that I signed up for because I have sometimes the emails are weird depending on what you're signed in on Google, but that was there was a sense in the room where it was like. It was sadness and anger and rage, but at the same time, joy, knowing that he's okay and knowing that that they got to keep hope alive for him.
Well, it's also kind of a sober reminder because this is what we're up against too.
Yeah, this is a guy who is non-violent.
And I think when she was done, I think she probably got the biggest ovation of.
No,
anybody.
yeah, she did.
Yeah,
oh yeah, she got there. She stood there for a good minute or so.
Yeah.
And we just it was. Once
it's a special moment.
It really was, and I didn't have the chance to talk to her because I was trying to track down everybody after the event ended. She was the one person I wish I could have had a conversation with and just try to reassure and say, hey, we're gonna do everything that we can with the podcasts and with telling other people about this situation because what's been done here is a complete injustice and needs to be solved and needs to be remedied. And the day that he's released, there's going to be a celebration. I don't know when that will or if it'll happen, but if it does, there's going to be,
Well, I mean, like Jeff Dice said after she left the stage, he said all it would have taken is for Trump to put his name on a few pieces of paper, and it would all been over.
Sign a form or make a phone call.
Yeah,
that's it.
And then the most pushback he would have gotten is from some drug warriors for about a couple hours, and it'd be over.
Well, that and he was already leaving office, so what's the worst he's going to do?
Yeah.
Is have some idiots on Twitter, which he's always
off
going to
Twitter.
have. Well, he always was going to have haters
Yeah.
on Twitter. So okay, you gain 1,000 more haters on Twitter. Oh man, that'll keep him up at night.
Yeah, really.
You know, there was a rumor that during his last when he lost the election, that they basically came to him and said, "Hey, you're going to follow these guidelines on your way out,
Yeah.
or else whatever."
Don't deviate from what we're
Yeah,
told.
don't deviate, or else bad things will happen. I wonder if like McConnell and all of them sat down and said, "Listen, you're not going to do anything crazy. You're not
I don't
touching
know.
Ross. You're not touching Snowden. You're gonna
Assange.
leave Assange. Yeah, you're not going to drop anything. You're going to leave these people alone, and
Chelsea
we'll leave
Manning.
you alone."
Yeah. Maybe.
But yeah, she was incredible, and if I remember correctly, I will link down the interview that he did at the Bitcoin conference because it's awesome, and he's been one of the biggest. And even people in the Bitcoin community know the injustice, and so it's
They know
not
Ross, yeah.
it's not just the liberty movement. Which, yes, there's a lot of crossover between the two, but it's not just the liberty movement that understands that what's been done to Ross is a complete injustice.
It's those Bitcoin weirdos too.
You get the Bitcoin autistics too.
Yeah. All right. So then there was that. Then there was the. So if you don't know, like the, I guess like the inside, the inside jokes that are going around is that Tom doesn't like it when people. He's not a big cargo shorts kind of guy.
Doesn't like Hawaiian shirts.
He also doesn't like Hawaiian shirts. He thinks they're tacky, and which people like me who happen to like Hawaiian shirts, not so much cargo shorts. But he put this big thing out on the Tweety about it. And then I put
he got ratioed.
and he got ratioed hard. And I put a picture of Tom Selleck out in those real short
Yep.
cargo shorts in the Hawaiian shirt from Magnum PI. And I think that's the most likes I've ever gotten on a picture. It was like some 200 or whatever. But anyway, so he comes because last time at the 1000th episode, he and Eric July had a dad joke competition. Who could tell the best dad jokes? And I think Eric won last time. I think
so, yeah.
But anyways, so Tom comes out in cargo shorts, a Hawaiian shirt, and then like those super tall white crew socks with the ugliest shoe, like the tennis
Sandals.
shoes, like tennis shoes
like
on.
the white, like New Balance or whatever.
Just to rub it in everybody's face. I think.
Well, I think it was strategy. It was to catch Eric off guard.
Yeah.
I think it was.
But that was great because he can laugh at himself too.
Yeah, and that's the sign of someone who can.
The guy that's been to Harvard and a Yale can laugh at himself.
That was funny.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the dad joke, and then they had the Family Feud, which the audio and video was not working. So
It wasn't. Yeah, it was okay.
But it was funny just seeing the answers and stuff, and seeing having all of them basically up there, and then at the finale of the show, which is almost poetic in a way, just like how the ending of the show is. So Michael Malus comes out, who's of course is the big one that everyone's waiting for. He's the most popular one there. Like most people follow him on Twitter. He's just the most well-known grouper. So of course he's going to speak last.
Tom and he have been pushing the special guest that he
Yes.
was going to bring, and so that was the big tension at the end. Tom was like, Malus isn't coming out to the very end with his special guest.
Yeah. So and he comes out and says his little things and says his nice thing to Tom and says all that, and how now Tom used to be bigger than, more popular than Malus, and now Malus is way more popular than Tom, which is just funny that he's like come speak at my event or whatever. But he brings out his special guest, and it's this puppet, but it's the Tom Woods puppet, and he's just dressed just like
Dummy
him.
Tom.
Yeah, Dummy Tom. And then he starts doing these jokes, but because Michael's not a ventriloquist, he can't do like the little what do you call it? It's the way that they use they talk.
Yeah.
But you can't see it.
Their lips move.
The lips don't move, but they're talking. So he puts on a mask, right? Which is just funny because
it's kind of a joke.
It's the joke. The joke is, hey, this is an anti-COVID super spreader, screw Dr. Fauci event.
Okay, the roast of Dr. Fauci.
Yes, we roasted Dr. Fauci on this. This is the event. And if you've sat through the first 4 hours of the event, you know that going into this. And you know that if you have any idea who Michael Malus is,
or who Tom is,
you know exactly their thoughts on the pandemic and the masks and everything like that.
The COVID and the vaccine.
So whenever Michael put this mask on, it's funny because it's ironic, because
everybody laughed.
Because they know deep down inside that this is an act. It's supposed to be for a comedic effect, because it's like, oh, hey, Michael can't do the ventriloquist voice right or mouth right, so he's going to wear a mask. Oh, he hates masks. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's the joke. They get it. So he's doing the whole like little routine, and the jokes are so cringy, but they're supposed to be. Like, it's the whole idea. They're funny, but they're cringy. And then I'd say about halfway through his little routine he's doing, there's this dude that starts walking from one of the corners. And so at first I was like, this is a part of the show, because everyone, when they came on stage, there was no like backstage. They kind of just walked in front of the stage, in front of the not teleprompters, but the screens, and they walked in front and walked on the stage. So I'm like, okay, is this just the next guest, or is this some surprise person I don't know about? And he's sitting there and he starts talking to Michael on the left side of the stage, holding the puppet, and he's like, oh, hi, talking to the dude, and the dude's like, take your mask off, and this guy is
blacked out drunk.
This guy is gone. Like, he's what, I'm trying to find the expression of like, you're like 2 past something or whatever, but this dude is gone. This guy is like Jim Leahy drunk right now.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't understand the reference, this guy's gone. If you were to push him over, he'd probably pass out and fall asleep.
Yeah.
You just tell the way he was slurring his speeches that this guy is so drunk. And he's like, take your mask off, and Michael's like, I'm not wearing a mask, referring to the puppet. And then he's like, are we gonna stand up for this? And this is not right. And this is tyranny right here. Completely missed the joke. And if anyone had, even if a normie went to this, sitting through that whole thing would have been like, yeah, this is clearly a joke. Like, obviously. So this dude is standing there, and I could tell immediately that it wasn't a part of the act whenever Tom looked at him like,
come on, dude,
get away from the stage. And then you could see Malus's face was, oh crap, what is happening right now?
What is this guy gonna do?
Well, because here's the thing, there's no real security there
besides the hotel security.
But whenever the dude is standing 5 feet away from you, but if he is armed, that's it. He's done. So you could see a little bit of concern.
When I say hotel security, there's probably 5 or 6 guards the entire hotel or whatever.
So I'm not gonna lie, I got a little bit nervous. I'm like, what is this dude doing? Is this guy gonna do something violent? You could tell that. Well, this guy was not very smart. First of all, if he wanted to do something bad, because he's got guys like Eric July up in the front there. He's got guys like Pete Quinones up there in the front, and then he had all these other guys, and they're within, 10 feet of him. So he's not going to do anything if he wanted to. But the little moment of panic there, like, something's about to go down here.
Yeah.
And so they start escorting him away, and this dude falls over on his own power. I think he got tackled. One of the guys tackled him to the ground, and he blacked out. He was gone. And they start dragging his butt away behind the stage. And then as they dragged him away, Michael Malus is like, ladies and gentlemen, Dave Smith. The whole place erupts into theaters, but
because he kind of looked like Dave from a distance,
from afar. And then once the jig was up and we knew this guy was a heckler and he was interrupting the stage, and Michael was like, "Boo him, boo him!" And then we all stood up and were like booing him.
Well, when the one guy was trying to pull him away at first, he was like, "Oh, yeah, try to do this when Eric July's on stage."
Eric would have beat the crap out of him.
But once the guy started to resist the people that were trying to drag him away,
there was like 5 people.
There was like 5 or 6 people that kind of stood up and just made their way to the backstage.
If we were closer, if we were like in that first 3 rows, because I'm most taller than most people, and I was definitely taller than this guy.
This schmuck.
I would have been probably one of the people that would have walked up and been like, "All right, dude, you gotta go. Like, sorry, this is not okay. Don't interrupt an event, man. Just don't. It's just stupid. Just don't do that." So he gets dragged off stage, and in the back, and apparently he's sitting there like on the ground, like yelling, and this guy was completely just out of his mind. So then after that, Michael does his thing, and then the event kind of wraps up after that, and everyone comes on stage and does a little bow, and afterwards we go and we get to meet Tom, got pictures with got pictures with Tom, got to meet Eric July, who is just incredibly nice, and for those who know Eric July, He's in a band called Backwards, and right now they're trying to release a new album and trying to go on tour, but he's made it very Pacific that he's not going to play venues.
Pacific?
Yeah, Pacific.
Specific.
Yes.
Okay.
He made it very clear that he's not going to play venues that require masks or vaccine cards or even like a negative test. He said, I'm not doing that. If you're going to, it's like, no. So they're not really able to tour right now because most places are requiring that.
In most major cities, they are.
Yeah. So they're kind of on hold. He said the album's done. We're not going to release it if we can't tour on it. It's just stupid. So, but I told him, I said, hey, once this all clears up and you come to Atlanta, man, I'm going to rage front row. Get the Macho Man Randy Savage tank top, I told him. Said I'll do that, and then I'll get a Hawaiian shirt, and I'll be the front row raging.
That's cringy.
And, I know, it's the point. Got to meet Scott. Who else did we get a chance to?
Malus.
Oh, yeah, I said that. Yeah, I got to talk to a funny story about Michael Malus. For those of you who know me personally, know that I have like a white streak in my hair. It's pretty prominent.
You can't miss it.
Yes, it's natural. So I understand people ask it because it's just like, hey, that doesn't look natural. Yes, it's 100% natural. I do not dye my hair this way.
Why would you?
Well, it's cool. People think it's cool, Jacob. Joe, it's cool. And for those of you who've been watching Malus for a while know that he dyed his hair about a year and a half ago whenever Tulsi Gabbard, he was trying to get Tulsi on the show. Tulsi has a white streak in her hair as well. And the first thing he said is he's like, oh, what's your name? And I said, Jacob. And he's like, oh, nice hair. To give me the compliment of nice hair. And he was being genuine about it. There's a way, whenever you see him talk, you can tell he's being snarky or being genuine. That was a genuine comment from him. And I said, oh yeah, you had your hair very, very similar. So when I said that, me not thinking about what I said, I think whenever I said it, whenever he saw it, he made the connection about the way he had hit his hair in Tulsi. So where's my copy of my book? It's over on my TV console. So in the Anarchist Handbook, when he signed it, he wrote, "To Tulsi, stop stealing my look, Michael Malus." Didn't write Jacob. Didn't write "Here's to Liberty," or raise the black flag. He wrote, "Tulsi, stop stealing my look." And I didn't realize it until I was in line to meet Eric July because they were right next to each other. And I was like, "Oh, Malus, I'm gonna look at it." And I look at it, and I didn't recognize the name, but I said Tulsi, and I'm like, "I get it, and I love it. I love it because Michael claims to have founded the whole streak in the hair, and then of course he wore like the white blazer that Tulsi would wear during some of the debates. So he wore that. I think it was on Dave Rubin or whatever. And he's like, oh no, I started this whole trend. Well, Michael, don't block me on Twitter, but I've had this hair for a while. No disrespect, and I'm not like being snarky. I'm just saying I was not trying. There was no copyright infringement needed. But no, he was incredibly nice and just took the time to. And he also insulted you, Joe, didn't he?
Yeah, because you gave me your phone, and your phone had locked up, and I couldn't get the camera to open because you can slide up on it. And it took me like a solid 20 seconds to get the camera open. He was like, "Oh wow, yeah, you had one job." I was like,
and he was like, "Give me some other book to sign." Which I get in his position because, like, if you were there was a mob of people that were trying to meet him, and he couldn't even leave the stage. Like, there were people just mobbing him, and that's why I didn't say a whole lot. I said thank you. I said thank you for the compliments and that, and I wanted to give him his time because I knew that I can't imagine how stressful that is trying to be genuine, like we said before, be genuine, try to talk to people, but at the same time, you have to get these books signed.
Yeah.
Like, you have to get these books or else you're gonna be here all night. So I get it. Thanks for the signing the book, Malus. You're incredibly nice, and
yeah,
thanks for the comments on the hair. But kind of in closing, after saying we met everybody, the event was incredibly well done. I had the biggest sense of just joy and got kind of inspired that hey, you're not alone in this fight. There's a lot of really good people out there. Eric July and I think Tom Woods both retweeted my post that I put up, and I got a bunch of new followers. So I'm not like I don't care about the numbers of followers but I have people who are like-minded who are now connecting with me. I think that's awesome, and that's basically the only reason why I have Twitter. Is still, it's like there's people that I can connect with and people that I can share ideas with, and that's basically the only reason why I have the stupid dumpster fire of a social media site. Without it, there'd be no point for me to be on it. But it was good. It was good to see people. It was good to meet people and feel that you're not alone. Because like where we live, there's a couple of people, like maybe 5 that I really, really know well, that I have like that I talk to, you know, on a pretty regular basis about this kind of stuff. But other than that, there's really just not a whole lot, and it gives you a good feeling that there was people from all 50 states that were there at the event. Some from Hawaii. There's a person from Hawaii who flew from Hawaii. Like, that's incredible to go to this event. It just makes me feel that it gave me a big white pill.
Yeah, I agree.
So what were your thoughts on the event and kind of?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. You know, a lot of people had speculated what Malus' special guest was going to be, and I don't think it could have worked. If, like, some people were saying, oh, is it going to be Ron Paul? Is it going to be like Alex Jones? Is it going to be Joe Rogan or whatever? I don't think it would have worked if it was them, because what would they have done?
Well, the whole idea behind Joe Rogan is that Michael calls people the very failed whatever profession.
Yeah, but when they got on stage, though, what would they have done? So I think what because at first I was like, oh, wow, it's a puppet. Interesting. And then I thought more about it. I was like, yeah, if he would have brought Alex Jones out, I mean, like,
what are you going to do?
What are they going to do? Like, gay frogs? I mean, turn the freaking frogs gay. I mean, I don't.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But overall,
maybe if you brought out like Hans Hermann Hoppe,
that would have been different. But it was a lot of fun. I don't think I've laughed that much in public in a long time. My hands hurt from clapping; they still hurt. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was very inspiring. Got to, kind of put faces with names, because sometimes if you just listen to a lot of podcasts, you don't see a lot of names, so to speak. Or even if you see people on the YouTubes or on the TVs or whatever, when you see them in person, they're completely different, right? So that was the first time you've ever seen Tom in person.
The first time I saw any of them in person.
Right.
And anybody like that I've seen in person was the only time.
And so Michael Malus and Tom Woods are a good 2 feet shorter than you and I.
Yes.
Which is kind of funny, because these little short little people, and then there's us, giants
of people.
But yeah, it was that kind of stuff. And then like seeing Jeff Deist, who's someone that I greatly admire, who I've read basically all his articles, and I've watched all his speeches from Mises, and it's great. And then to see people like Michael Bolton, who isn't as popular as a lot of these other people, but still he does a lot of good work with the 10th Amendment Center, and he's great friends with Tom. And then to see someone like Mike Beharry, who is also not very well known in the even in our own little circles, but he does a lot of work with at the 10th Amendment Center. And then someone like David Gronkowski, who does a radio show in South Florida, and he has on Mises Institute people all the time. And then to see someone like Tho Bishop.
Tho Bishop was cool to see.
Yeah, and it's just people.
I haven't had a chance to go talk to him, but yeah, it was cool to see him.
Yeah, and then just people like that, people that you wouldn't normally, you may see on the YouTube or whatever, or you listen to the podcast, but to actually put a face with a name and see what they look like, it's a whole different thing. It's kind of like the first time I saw Donald Trump in person. You think he's this fat guy, but you see him in person, he's actually quite slim.
Quite slim?
Quite slim.
That's good.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Putting people with faces and getting the chance to kind of meet people really, I wouldn't say recharged my Liberty badge, because they didn't need to be charged, but it kind of gives me more of a vigor behind the message and the podcast. And to finally meet people and say the things that you want to say, to say the thank you. I know that thank you is a very overused word sometimes, but it really, really means a lot. Like when I got to meet Sir Reed Coverdale, awesome guy. I've been following him for a while, and to see the way that he's really exploded in the movement is awesome. I mean, the guy interviewed Peter Schiff of one of his bigger interviews, and it was awesome. And to get a guy like Peter, who's incredibly busy and incredibly important and hard to get, it's awesome.
That's a big deal.
And I just if I never speak to him again, that'd be okay. But just to have that interaction and just to put a name with the face and just say, thank you. I think that's awesome, and it gets it makes my personality when you interact with someone on Twitter, because sometimes me and him will interact, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I would just, the event was awesome, and I really needed a break from life and a break from work, and this was a nice chance to get away. We did Kennedy Space Center, which of course is incredible, and we did a lot of other things as well while we were in Orlando. It was a great trip, and
the only person I wish I could have seen that wasn't there, I know he's got family stuff going on, but I wish Dave Smith could have been there. That would have been a whew.
That's for 3,000, man. 3,000 got over for what these happen every 3.5 years, whatever.
Yeah,
so
if he's not had another kid at that point,
we'll see.
But
yeah, don't you be flaking on us now, Dave. You gotta get on.
Can you imagine how much funnier that night would have been if Dave was there?
You had Dave and you had Michael Malus there. That'd have been
good grief. Because they were supposed to roast Dave Smith.
Yes.
And Michael was supposed to be part of the roasting team.
Oh man, that would have been. Oh gosh, that would have been. Oh,
Gutbuster!
That man, Michael Malus, will roast people just like saying hello. It's incredible. Which, by the way, he was on Rogan recently, so I'm about halfway through that episode.
That's good.
Gosh, it's so good.
They're
both just so intellectually just giants in their craft and in their field that when they come together, it's like him and Lex. They're both just it's the best.
Yeah.
So. Well, let's give you the podcast, everybody. This is a little bit of a later episode, but we came home Monday. Yesterday was a complete wreck for me. So,
well, see, what happened Monday or Tuesday is that we also got a new hot tub. So the time we were supposed to record the show, I was in the hot tub watching the lightning play.
Maybe we got to do the hot tub episode.
That's a great idea. I've always wanted to do an episode outside.
Hold the microphone in the hot tub. I mean, we could do them. I guess you just got to get a laptop and just put the laptop outside.
You could do it on my laptop.
Maybe we could do the live stream from outside. Maybe
I think that'd be great.
Maybe we'll see.
Anyway,
we'll talk about doing that. So, yeah, that's been the episode, everybody. So be sure to check out Friday's episode. I'm doing one solo. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. If the internet is good, I might live stream. We'll see, because there's some things I want to play that are actual videos, and the videos on the podcast are just they're cringy. They don't work. So if I can do the live stream, cool. I've got to get the live stream up on Spotify. I will. It takes a lot. It's just some more work on my end on that. But if I'm able to do, that'd be super cool. If not, it'll be a regular podcast as per usual. That'll come out either Friday or Saturday, depending on all of my busyness of life. But thank you guys so much for listening. I will try to include some of the links down below on some of the things that we mentioned. And then there's also going to be the video of the event coming up soon. So maybe I will for sure tweet that out. So follow me on Twitter at @JSanders_. All of the links are down below. Joe, anything else?
That's it.
All right, folks. We'll see you on Friday. Take it easy.
Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.